see. There
it
is.
is. The final boss, 8-2 for League 2015, an insanely good record. He's only been used 10 times, but he has won 8 out of 10.
Fantastic song, by the way.
Yeah.
I got to say it every time. Cowboy Bebop, amazing anime. Check it out.
It is quite good.
It's a classic.
And, DRG already giving that big sigh, puffing up his cheeks, not looking as calm as we would like him to be here.
Well, a lot of pressure on his shoulders, that's for sure. He's going to get through stats and most likely Zest. And all his losses are from ZVP as well, mind you, in this year.
And Stats is 5-1 versus Zerg in this year. Zest also a PvZ powerhouse. These are two of the hardest Protosses to win here.
This is, even make it a 6-1 now with a win in this matchup against one of the best late game Zergs in the world. He made it look easy. I feel like DRG might want to try to stay heavier on mutas, continue being a bit more hefty with the harassment, not just try to transition earlier like Curious did.
Just have like a better bank for late game. Try and take it late game if you want to go there, but with a lot more greed involved.
Yep. Well, we are about to jump into game number 6 here, guys. It is going to be Stats versus DRG going into the map Echo right now. Down here in the bottom right, in the red, the Protoss player from KT, it is Stats.
To the top left, the last man standing, the final boss, it's DRG. Such a tense moment for him and his team now. Will have to likely defeat 2 Protosses in Stats, and then, of course, going into Zest. Potentially, maybe even TY coming out on Vonnie Research Station as well.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, TY doesn't have bad TVZ at all. I guess it depends who's more confident against this guy.
Even so, I mean, Zest is 7-0 in round number 4, and he's been a powerhouse throughout the entire year. I don't know. I guess it really depends on who is more ready to come out and play, I suppose.
Sure. That's something that we can never really give our own insights to because we're not living in the house talking to these players, 12 hours a day as say, Legend is and the KT coach as well. I feel like one of the things that we didn't talk too much about in the Curious game versus Stats was how passive he was with his investments. He had, at a point in time, 11 Ultralists that he was never able to utilize until eventually he was like, well, I guess I just have to throw this. It's like rotten eggs. I have to throw these Ultras away and move on because they're spoiled now. I spent a lot of money investing them.
Well,
and the Ultra market it tanked, man. It's like, this is no longer useful. I got to get rid of them, do something else.
He kind of just had a very horrible composition for the army he was against as well, and he never decided to change it. He decided to throw it away. It's like, well, I'm against this many Immortals. Maybe I should add some more Lings before I attack so I can actually, deal with the Immortals a little bit easier. Instead, he attacked with pure Ultra against the Immortal army, and it failed completely.
I think he was getting impatient, but also maybe just a bit overconfident. He also had a bank of something like 5,000, 4,000, so
yeah,
he could have remaxed in pretty much whatever he wanted. But again, that definitely was not a good idea to just throw everything away in that one fight for sure.
When you kind of try and go for a remax like that as well and throw your army away, it opens up a huge opportunity for a counterattack, which is exactly what we saw, and it did a lot of damage to him. So it's also a big mistake trying to fight like that and expect to make another army before they do attack on a map that size.
Yeah, I feel like he made comps that were also very hard countered. Did he really need that many Broodlords, or should he have rather had more Corruptors to protect the few Broodlords so he could slowly push through and be successful?
Yeah, I agree with that. He should have been. It was certainly too many Broodlords, like 16 to 18 Broodlords or something. It's like, you don't need that
ridiculous.
many.
Yeah.
You need to wipe the air clean and use them to finish up. And if you need to remax, you remax with Lings to buffer for them or something. But yeah, I didn't like that composition both times at all.
Well, we are going to see DRG get away with a double hatch before pool opening, and this is something that obviously Stats wants to identify and respond to. He's now seen it. He has a very quick Cyber Core, so he can grab his tech early on here.
Well, he did go for the Nexus first himself. as well, and then did go into that gate and Cyber Core. But he does have the necessary gas to go into some kind of tank. Just going to go for Warp Gate and a Stalker first.
I wouldn't be surprised if we do see that Oracle opening this time around. It's generally the sort of punishment you will have on a greedy Zerg like this.
Yeah. That's what I'd like to see. That's also, quite a drastic change from what we saw in the last game as well that DRG's looking at. Chrono Boost on Warp Gate, though.
Well, maybe just looking for an all-in kill. Could be that as well, not a bad choice either, considering how greedy and a double hatchery before pull is.
And he still has another player to fall back on if this fails. It's not like this is a 3-3 score. It's a 3-2.
Yeah. And he's got Zest behind him, so maybe even a guy that Stats considers to be better than himself. And he's like, okay, well, if you're going to go for something this greedy that we don't see all that often, I'm just going to kill you. And if it doesn't work, that's okay too.
Another thing to note is the lack of gas, which is exactly what Stats scouted. He's like, okay, you have no gas income, which makes it so much easier to go for a gateway attack. Without any sort of link speed or roaches, you can just kind of build this army of gateway units that are going to crush any amount of Zerglings eventually.
Look at this. He's going to make a ton of gates now, right? He's going to make like 3 more gateways as soon as that Overlord dies.
Well, maybe 2 more if he really wants to, but he doesn't have to either.
Oh, wow. Stargate.
He can just build up, on 3 gateways and go for an attack, and it's going to do a lot of damage. It's going to slow down the drone production, force out a lot of slowlings. This is the last thing DRG wants to make right now.
Yep, 10 more, 14 more on the way. Roach Warren as well. He's going to add a few more drones here. But he spots the pile and he knows how close it is. That's important to know. And with a ton of Stalkers here with good micro, he can definitely do a lot of damage. Already making that many lings itself is damage.
Yeah, that is just slowing down the economy production so much. And he doesn't even have to warp in, but he is going to warp in 5 Stalkers, which is going to do a lot of damage against completely gasless army.
Yeah. Again, just slow lings. It's going to be so long until that comes out here.
If he gets a time warp off on these lings as well, which he probably won't because it's a bit risky if ling speed was on the way, he doesn't know. But if he time warped them, he could actually do insane damage.
Well, picking away like this is pretty safe as well. There's no risk of surround, to be honest.
Look at this, 12 more drones on the way.
He's also adding spores. He knows the transition. His Overlord has seen the Oracle. So he's trying to just say, okay, I've done it. I've held this. Moving on. It's just so tough. Even though he knows about this, he's got still no speed. So he doesn't want to make any more lings because that means less drones. So he's really on a razor thin edge where he's trying to walk.
This is nice. Gets an Overlord. Supply blocks.
Yeah, looks like he's going to send that Oracle as well towards the 3rd base. But there should be a Spore up. Is there a Queen, though? Yes, there is a very weak one, though.
He can kill it. Queen, man. Wow. Really out of position there.
He's got a few more Queens coming over, though. DRG is really on top of his scouting. He saw the 3rd base. I think he's just kind of trying to cut his losses at this point and transition. I think he's done a decent job of that.
Yeah, he's droning up pretty well, regardless of all this pressure. He's still ahead in workers for now.
Cooling tower going to go down here. And a lot of sentries to help protect this base. 6 of them building that energy for a long time now.
I think we're going to see similar sort of army for stats. It's going to be that +2 in Blink and probably transition later as well. I think he's also going to play this the same way he played Curious.
I mean, it worked so well against Curious, but I don't know. Maybe that was just against the very passive style of Curious where he loves to go for that super late game. It definitely did work out well regardless. And it is as well going to be very, very hard for DongRaeGu to really pressure this 3rd base at all. So it kind of forces him into a passive game as well.
Yeah.
So I do agree. Maybe, yeah, he will just go for the same thing here.
Notice this time as well, because his base is so much later, it's not a greedy base from stats. So he's got a nice tight wall up. He got the cooling tower down. He's very safe to go into this blink and +2. And he's going to have a larger army to deal with the Mutalisk by the time they arrive as well. So DRG really is going to want to think about taking a 4th base somewhat in the near future. He's taking a Hydra Den, though.
Well, look at how many gateways are being added as well. Like we could actually just see him go for an attack. It's going to be a while before +2 and Blink's finish, but if he's like expecting that Muta switch, he can move across the map because there's no roaches, there's no lings that are in any amount that are going to stop it from happening.
Yeah, with all these sentries, he's constantly hallucination scouting. He knows there's nothing on the map. He's seen it.
He's going to try and cancel this as well. I don't think he actually has enough energy, but he's going to try.
Going to get it low at least.
He was just preparing for it completely.
Yeah. Hydra Den is done.
No more probes being produced. He's stopped at 66. He's going to saturate the 3 bases, and I guess from here just continuously pump out a ton of Stalkers.
Making some cannons as well. Very wary of the Mulus. Sending some of those Stalkers back home. He saw the Spire timing. He knows it's going to be, the Lings, or rather the Muse, are going to be over here pretty soon. Constant vision, one of the strongest things we've seen from Stats today in this matchup. Always being able to prepare for what he's up against because of his consistent scouting.
Yeah. I really do love this double hallucination scouting time and time again. He really does know everything that's going on. Despite him being very inactive with his army and no pressure on the map whatsoever, he's happy to let the Zerg do whatever he wants to until the late game.
Look at this, another robotics facility and the Robo Bait coming in here. I guess it's going to be a big transition into a heavy number of Colossi before DRG can see it. You
know what? I think he didn't scout an infestation pit, and he's like, okay, you're planning to transition into Hydra from here. So I'm going to go in for double Colossus. Oh, I guess one. Oh, yeah.
Double Robo Colossi.
Double Robo Colossus.
Yeah.
He's also, again, doing this catch-all build where he gets a +1 air weapons. He's got a Stargate. He's getting +3. He's just kind of saying, all right, if we go to that late game, I'm going to have these pieces of basically what I said in the commercial break earlier, it's almost like he's painting something. He's painting a late game. He's like adding all the little details into what this late game composition is going to be that can almost beat and defeat anything. It's like he knows who his judge is, and he's going to try to make a picture that the judge is going to give a 10 out of 10 to, and he's putting all the pieces together. And eventually, slowly, you start to see this like beautiful composition that is almost impossible to counter.
Yeah, look at that. No Spore here either, so a lot of drone damage going down, delaying that 8 gas income.
Yeah, always got to remember to put that Spore down. I mean, he is going to lose this Oracle most likely, but getting a bit of damage and shutting down that 4th base for now. 20
Hydras at the follow-up here, so he's going for that big switch, but Colossus should be out in time before anything comes his way.
I have a really bad feeling about this for DRG.
Yeah, he's been read like a book. Stats so intelligent with his scouting. Sees the Hydras as well, mind you.
He's just never able to deny these hallucination scouts. He's already confirmed the Hydras. Investor's not going to be useful versus this. DRG is the one who's got a lack of scouting. He doesn't know there are 2 Robo Colossi going against him, as well as Templar coming up on the way. And Stats has ample time because of these rocks in the middle of the map and because of his cooling tower to get those Colossi. I think he's going to have 3 Colossi in range when this hits. It's going to be insane.
Yeah, it's going to be disgusting.
I think the scary thing really is, when Vipers come on the map. That could be the next scary point, I guess, if there's some good abducts or maybe blinding clouds on Colossi.
Oh, he's trying to draw these Stalkers out of position. Here comes the army. But the important Colossi and the Sentries are on the right side. They're on exactly where they need to be. Look at these force fields. Sorry, Lings. A meat grinder.
Getting zapped there by all the Colossi. All he needs is 2 at this point. And, he's got 3 cannons back there at the natural as well, just dealing with these mutas who are not being microed at all.
No, they're going to get an assimilator, but besides that, they're going to be losing a lot of them. And look at this counterattack. Nearly maxed out at this point, and that is an inferior army to deal with this Colossus composition.
He's going to have +3 weapons here for his ground army. So just the 4 Colossi in the back with that many Stalkers, 26?
Yeah, Colossus range still bad to finish. Doesn't want to attack before then, but once it's done, the amount of Sentry energy is insane.
Look at how many Hydras he can block off to the right side. Okay, a bit late on this, though, and Corruptor's getting some free shots.
Oh, wakey,
This is the best engagement DRG could have ever hoped for. This is his dream come true.
Yeah, that was actually a real ugly engagement from Stats.
Yeah, really nice position with those Hydras on the right side, catching him off guard. And you know what? DRG's going to hold this a flying color. He's going to get another free Colossus kill here.
Is it going to matter at the end of all things, though? Drones went down as well, and all the Corruptors are getting cleaned up. The Hydras are not too plentiful either, but that is a lot of Lings.
He has +2/2 as well, and he's going to push these Stalkers back. Corruptors could actually be dropping some corruption down to make this an even easier win on this fight. Mutas come home.
The Stalkers, there are more coming across the map from Stats, but it's just such a low number compared to what DRG's got.
Now back on creep, the Lings continuing to gain ground here. Charged Zealots trying to help protect, but I think there's just not enough momentum here for Stats. Even this Warpin, probably not the best choice. He's getting more free units here, and DRG is going to bring us to that ace match.
Yeah, very surprisingly as well. Just an ugly engagement from Stats, ruining his army. No force fields whatsoever until the Colossus were essentially dead.
And even when he put them down, they didn't even zone out the Hydras with the range. They were just protected behind the force fields against what Stats had.
He didn't choose an angle to go, and he went through the center, and that's what happens if you're going to fight a desperate Zerg. They're going to try attack from every angle to minimize the force fields.
Kind of a, I don't know, overconfident attack there from Stats. He's like, oh, I've got this guy beat. I see what he has, but
It just goes to show he didn't have an observer. That's why the creep wasn't being cleared. So he also engaged on a massive amount of creep. If you don't have vision, if you don't have an observer, sometimes you get caught by things like this. And DRG, was able to identify this. And it just goes to show at the highest level in StarCraft 2, all it takes to lose a one game is a bad engagement.
Yeah, that's all it takes, especially if you have that Death Ball kind of army. He's going to try for the front here. I don't think there's enough Stalkers to really threaten these Broodlords just yet.
It's a death wish to blink on top of those.
Yeah. Down 70 supply, and he's losing that economy in the third.
Going to wipe out that third. And, well, he's actually just going to back off here for now. There he goes back in.
He's just zoning out this army to make sure that it's never going to be a good blink. And look at that. It's not a good blink. He gets 2 Broodlords, but he's losing so many Stalkers. He's got no economy to replace these.
And the concave of Hydras is even just too much for these 3 Colossi who are being bugged out by the Broodlords. He is sieging the base of Stats hard. Stats is trying to hang on here.
He's starting to wipe out the Broodlords, and only Hydra's left over. Maybe he can wipe it out. It's still hard.
He needs to target those Broodlords back on this army.
Yeah, ugly engagement there as well, but still, I think he's done the damage he's needed to.
And he's just going to keep streaming Lings across the map while he remaxes with 15 Mutas. And as long as he kills all the Stalkers here, it should be okay.
Big storm there.
Yeah, going to clean up everything at the base, so I suppose Stats can kind of take a deep breath here. And with 17 Mutas on the way, they're going to be good for keeping Stats on his side of the map, but not really at a straight-up fight against this many Storms.
Yeah, I think he definitely jumped the gun a little bit there with his Broodlord control. Not targeting the army. 1 Stalker delaying some creep here. I mean, this whole thing started when DRG moved across the map with his comp. He had 2 Stalkers and 1 Colossus, and somehow he was able to get enough units out to hold on because he still had the counter to the unit comp except the Broodlords, and DRG gave him an opportunity to kill those. Now it's 17 Mutas to 5 Stalkers, but 4 Templar with Storms.
We'll see what they can do here. They're going to need the perfect Storms to stop this from killing him. I don't think they actually have enough energy just yet.
One has 82. The other ones must be somewhat similar in energy.
Yeah. What are the upgrades on those Mutas, by the way? He's only getting +1 attack right now.
Probably no armor whatsoever.
0. Wow. Against, 3-1, 3-2 Stalkers, I would assume.
Yeah.
He's nearly as well.
So many cannons still helping zone out, helping buy time. He's got a Hive. I wouldn't mind to see an Ultralisk Cavern go down at this point as he continues to harass.
Yeah.
It's about trying to quell these Mutas, stop them from destroying the gas as well. It's so important to keep that alive. Should have his Storms in place for them as well. You can shave off a few of them and just really bring him back into this game and minimize that harass.
Yeah, this game seemed it was all over. Now we're getting Fleet Beacon out, second Stargate.
He's still playing so far from behind, but there is a way in. If we do see DRG stumble too many times from this point, throw away too much, sure, there's hope there.
Yeah. And not make an Ultralisk Cavern as the transition here. I mean, I suppose he is looking at double Robo, so getting out a decent number of Immortals is not too hard for Stats, but against what he's got right now, it's like the perfect unit.
Yeah, once these Phoenixes start to get up to 5, 6 with Anion Pulse Crystals, he's going to be at maybe 8 by then. These Mutas are not really going to be what he wants anymore. He is building spines.
Oh. Yeah, if once he's got like, 10 Phoenix with that range out, every Muta is essentially dead on the map, unless there's a lot of Corruptors to buffer for them.
There's that Ultralisk Cavern we were looking for, and he's again just denying these assimilators so well. And to be honest, with all the glaive damage here, even these pylons are probably starting to run out of his shields. He's just losing a lot of probes.
Yeah, he
just comes right back in. Where's the Storms?
Yeah, you need to start burning them now. He's nearly maxed out in energy on all those Templars.
Yeah.
He just needs to keep them on the edge and storm. Even if he loses 1 Templar, it can keep the Mutas away.
Here we go. Range is active.
Yeah, and this is going to be a tough fight for DRG no matter which way you slice it. He's not going to want to make Corruptors here, I'd say. He probably just wants to switch out of this. 4 Infestors, if he could catch these Phoenixes.
Yeah, that's another way to just simply win the game here, to be honest. If he can catch most of them out, remove that counter off the map, what can he actually do?
Still no Spore at this base.
Desperately trying to get them down now, but the Phoenixes have successfully pushed them back, and Stats is kind of reading the switch into Ultras as well. Double Immortal coming out here. He's going to begin to make that perfect army once again, and now he does have the Fleet Beacon and the 2 Stargates, which he did have later on in that other game, which allowed him to get out a insane number of Tempests as well.
And keep in mind, really long time ago, he got the +1 for those Phoenixes as well, right? So he's still got this in the cards, and he's you're just basically doing the same sort of thing.
Huge run by there. This could do a little damage.
Oh, the block there.
The block.
And the escape with the Link's pretty impressive. Coming in again to kill that gas. He's essentially trying to keep him on 2-base gas, soon to be 1 base as the main mine's out.
These Phoenix really have to be in place to deal with this as well. We are seeing that big Ultra Switch, by the way, but these Phoenix, they shouldn't have allowed that to happen. Not another even second of harassment from these mutas should be able to happen at this point.
Can you check? Can you press that T key and show me how many spines we got on this map right now? He's made a ton, 15 spines, so he's not afraid about counterattacks. He's not going to die the same way Curious did to these Zealot run-bys with the Mineral Bank, and Stats really doesn't even have a Mineral Bank right now.
Yeah, the 4th base is it's a while away here for Stats as well, especially with this number of mutas still on the map. I mean, the Phoenixes have been out of position more than one time as well.
Yeah, he's got to start shaving off the mutas at this point. What is he afraid of? He's afraid of something.
Infestors, I guess, Fungals, but there's none nearby.
Yeah, he's got to be very active with these Phoenixes.
There's no reason not to chase. He's so scared of Fungals.
Yeah, he really needs to start making more observers and put them around the map if he's afraid of this. He should be able to deal with this at this point.
Yeah, Mothership Core is going to be, honestly, I don't even like it. It's too expensive. It's not going to be that useful going into Mothership at this point. I'd rather see him invest into trying to push out and take that 4th base. It's just so difficult to do, but the Mothership Core, or rather the Mothership, I don't know if it's going to be the way to do that.
Every sort of thing that will help him keep his army alive for a little bit longer. I mean, the Sphinx are going to start to deal with those Overseers as well if they get close. There's a lot of cool ideas behind it.
That's true. There's no Corruptors either really on the map. Just the mutas.
Weak
Storms, where are they? Stats!
Oh, not paying attention. There are a couple of nice storms finally, but he loses 4 Templar with full energy.
Oh, man.
This might be the time to sack the mutas, though. I don't think they're getting out of here with all that storm damage. You might as well just try to fight on the probes.
He's not even chasing with those Phoenix there.
Not chasing. Ling's running into the natural.
He's going for the Robos.
That's kind of falling apart here.
Going to try to buy time with these spines here, but there's Ultras and Fungals available.
Still, it's not really a too scary army for these Immortals to deal with. I think he might have to sack this base.
Yeah, looks like it. He's taken the other base in the bottom left as well, and there's still Lings in the main of Stats.
Yeah, he's making Corruptors with a few more Ultras as the Remax here. Spine's actually kind of walling off his own Ultras. He wants to try to come from behind and trap this army with Fungals. Not going to happen, though. He does have that base at the bottom left, so he could definitely move some of his surviving drones to that location, but he is down to 49 of them.
Yeah, well, I mean, considering the 38 of probes, a lot of them aren't mining either. A lot of damage still going down in that 3rd base. This is really like a last-ditch effort for Stats at this point. He's got to try and find this attack, but it's going to be so hard against so many Fungals.
It's Fungals, Spines, Ultras. Here comes the Mothership. 8 Corruptors only as the way of dealing with that, so he's really just going to have to fight onto these units, I think.
Yeah, he's got 7 Overseers as well, maybe just going to fight against that Mothership.
Yeah, I mean, Fungals obviously will reveal the army as well, and there's not a lot of zoning with no Tempest on the map either.
Well, here we go.
Okay, let's see if he can make it work this time where Curious could not. Fungals and Blinding Clouds. I think that is going to be all she wrote.
Oh, my God. Yeah, there's no way he's winning that fight.
GG.
Going to an ace match.
Unbelievable. DRG coming through for his team. Despite looking like he was a bit nervous, comes out and plays a very, very solid game against Stats.
I was really worried for him there when he had the game won and then he was struggling to close it out. I was starting to wonder, is Stats' supreme late game going to creep up on him as he gets nervous in this super important match? But now he could actually bring his team into the next round of playoffs. He could knock KT Roaster out of round 4. It's all on him going into our repeat Vonnie Research Station.
Up against Zest as well. It has to be Zest at this point. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, Zest is best. He's got to come out as that ace match player. He was 7-0 in round 4. I want to say it again. He's been so on fire that I don't think he cannot play this guy.
It's a mistake to not use him. I 100% agree. What other choices are there really? There's not. There's just not.
TY will not come around this map.
Sit down, TY.
Sit down, TY. I mean, he could. I mean, TY would be great on this map as well, playing some very solid mech, but I don't think so. I think it has to be Zest.
I think DRG is very proficient versus mech as well. I like his versus mech ZDT. And I think Zest is he's undefeated this round. Insanely solid. And I think we're going to see Zest try to use Oracles to get ahead on this map and play a much more aggressive style.
Yeah.
Not like a mid-game Colossus timing, but like aggressive gateway pressure with sentries, maybe just a big Zealot Warpins, try to get ahead.
Well, yeah, Zest is a completely different beast when it comes to PvZ.
Oh, yeah.
And he is certainly a lot more active and aggressive.
Yeah, he's different from Classic and Stats. He loves to use those Oracles, as you guys were saying. He loves to do, War Prism drops. Just loves to get in the face of the Zerg and not just let him do whatever he wants. Stats sitting back on 3 bases again. Part of that being due to DRG with his really incredible muted control as well.
I don't like that style at all. I like classic style where he goes to 4 base and does that.
I think it works against Curious.
Yeah.
It's a good idea versus Curious.
If you're up against someone
Coda,
who throws their army away again and again, sure.
Well, let's be real as well. Stats should have had that game 1 with a timing attack that he basically just walked onto creep without knowing there were Hydras there, missed force fields as well. Like, DRG could be very happy he was able to take that fight, because otherwise he probably would have just simply been walked over and destroyed by Warpins.
It's like so weird to choose to attack there that has so many angles and so much creep, opposed to going to the left side or the right side or anywhere else.
Yeah, commit to one side or the other. Even with the cooling tower down, it doesn't take that long with a maxed out Protoss
or even
army.
Just go for the 4th base that he had up, shut that down, take it to 3 base versus 3 base, get your, fully super late game maxed out army again, and then go for a follow-up. If you're the wrong answer was going straight down the middle.
Yeah,
for sure.
and lack of force fields, very, very, very late force fields. Like, Colossus were dying as force fields went down. It was very weird. Like, maybe his hotkeys were wrong or something. I can't tell, but it's really it's such a strange thing to happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Zest is the better choice here than TY. We saw TY fail against Biel overall, like all the way in Game 7 in Star League, a very different sort of beast. I think TY's place comes maybe later on, maybe against CJ. I don't think this is the time.
No, I don't think so. I think it has to be Zest to close this one out. He's fantastic against Zerg as well.